Hi, this is Scott with Android Guys.
And this is Luke.
You're hanging with the guys.
Yeah, you are.
It's Tuesday.
It is.
It is just a few days until Christmas.
Yeah.
Have you been a good boy, Luke?
Sure. I think so. I don't know.
Who's that? It sounds like something a cop would ask. Are you nervous?
Are you a cop? You have to tell me.
No. I've been a pretty good boy.
Yeah?
Yeah. Not to get presents or anything like that, but to sleep better at night.
Yeah, right. If you are good, you can feel good about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the best present.
Shout out to therapy.
Shout out to mental health.
Yes. Are you all set with your...
I am for the most part. So luckily my wife does a lot of the shopping for the house, for the kids and stuff. And, we coordinate, and we'll talk about what to get, but she's the one that usually gets it. Because she looks for all the deals and stuff. I'm not that person. I find the path of least resistance, and I'll go with that. And she'll be like, "Oh, this was like $5 cheaper here."
You're not that guy, pal?
Yeah, I'm not that guy, pal.
So are you all wrapped up?
No.
Gifts and stuff?
No. So usually we'll spend an evening wrapping the day before or something like that, because if we wrap it ahead of time, then we have to have a place to put it. Now, if it's unwrapped, it can all be in bags and thrown in closets and all that kind of stuff. But once you wrap something, it has to stay nice.
Yeah.
So we usually wait till the last minute because we need hiding places in our house because we have kids that are smart.
Right now, it can hide in plain sight.
Essentially, yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm done for the most part. I have to get her a couple things for her stocking. I've gotten her presents already, and I've gotten the boys something from just me. But yeah, I think I'm pretty much set.
Did you or do you have any sort of routines or rituals or traditions that you do around Christmas? Christmas Eve?
I guess, it's become ritual or tradition that we will do Christmas Eve at her parents' house, and then we'll do Christmas Day later in the day at my parents' house.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it. We do the pickle ornament in the tree. It's one of the things we do.
Ah, what's this?
Okay, so there's a pickle ornament. Looks like, a pickle, and you hide it in the tree, and then the kids look for it. The first person to find it gets a special present. For us, it's like $5 cash. But yeah, that's I grew up with that in my house, and we still do it at my parents'.
Nice.
They have
Has it always been a pickle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a thing, because there's people much like you that have gone, I don't know what that is.
Sure.
And then there's other people that are like, oh yeah, we do the pickle.
We've got a pickle.
So I don't know where it came from. I don't know the origin of it, but it's something I grew up with. And that's kind of it, really. Once through the holidays, we do a drive-through Christmas lights and get ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
We have in the last 3 years done a countdown 12 days of Christmas for the kids and do a special thing every day.
Sure.
One of ours was going to see Spider-Man, and then we always make going to see lights. Do it that one of those things. One night is you can stay up as late as you want. One night is we go to the grocery store and you pick out your favorite drink and favorite snack.
Nice.
It's nothing real high impact for the budget.
As a whole, it's a thing for kids to remember.
Right.
It's a fun thing.
But that's really about it. How about you guys? Do you guys?
Well, you actually segue right into a talking point we didn't even discuss.
We're so good.
It's like we finish each other's
sandwiches.
Yes. We got this. Let me back up. So we don't do a pickle ornament.
Yeah.
We are usually, in terms of Christmas traditions, gifts, there's been a lot of night before Christmas wrapping in the past, and there's usually, resolution to not do it again.
Yeah.
But invariably,
it happens.
Yeah. We separate to opposite floors of the house and don't come in here. This one's yours.
Yeah. I have however much time I need privacy in this room.
Yes.
That can be actually nice.
I'm bringing gifts down. I won't look.
Why do you have your Switch with you? I don't know. But don't come in.
Why are you looking for the charger for your phone? Because it's 11 o'clock at night.
Because I want to listen to Christmas music while I rap.
How come you're not doing that? We will usually do that. We've gotten better.
Yeah.
To wrapping them. My wife will sometimes just get to a point where she's like, I'm just going to throw them in bags. That's why we don't throw these bags away.
Yep. We have reused bags.
These nice gift bags. We don't write names on them.
I got in trouble last year. So there's a bag that we have that every year I'm supposed to give Rachel a present in. I've done it every year since we've kind of gotten married.
Is it a raggedy bag now?
Kind of. And I forgot last year. I forgot to use the bag.
Stupid pandemic.
Yeah. And she noticed when I was done wrapping, she's like, the bag is still in. My bag is still in the wrapping stuff. I was like,
yes.
You're right.
I'm not done, though.
I'm throwing you off. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, so did you go the whole year without the gift in a bag? Or did you?
Yes. No, I didn't have. I had already gotten all the gifts, and I was like, so I put one of her gifts that I wrapped in the bag.
Oh, so a technicality.
It technically fulfilled the obligation, but it was a little bit of I can't believe you forgot the bag. And it was more of just, I didn't really get you anything that needed to be in that bag because it's a little bit bigger of a bag.
Yeah.
Because like I had gotten her like, a robe or some towels at one point, or winter coat. Like so, it's not a huge bag, but it's a bigger bag.
Sailboat fuel.
Yeah,
you got her.
Yeah,
a big bag of it.
Yep.
We this year we did a gingerbread house. It was our first time doing that, and I think that will become a thing that we do.
Cool.
I think instead of buying like this kit of 3 houses, we'll probably buy 1 house for every person.
Yeah.
And we'll buy the kit, but then we will also probably end up buying like our own candies and stuff on top of that because it is pretty cool. It's pretty fun.
You got to look now. So throughout the year, you need to look for like silicone baking molds for architectural, so you can make your own gingerbread.
Can make that building in Spain.
Yeah, the Sagrada La Familia.
Yes, gingerbread edition.
If you do that, I want to see it.
Okay. Either way, however it turns out, I want to see that.
Yes.
So we'll probably end up doing that. We got a book this year called the Adventure Challenge. We had originally picked it up last year. There's an adventure challenge book for couples.
Okay.
So the premise is pretty simple. You have this book of just random things. You have no idea what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And there's a key inside to tell you, or like a legend of this will require so many hours, or you may need a babysitter, or this can be done, under $20,
right.
Or
you'll need to be able to hold your breath for 3 minutes to do this one.
So I get a bit of an anxiety when I think about, because I don't know how much the book is going to like force you to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And so we got that book earlier this year, and then there's another one. We ended up getting that book for our son and his girlfriend.
Nice.
And they were going out doing different things, and they're like trying to tell us. We're like, no. Talk very vague and abstract about things you're doing because we don't want to know what's in our challenge book.
Right.
Because you just flip to a page, scratch it off, and whatever it is.
Oh, really? So it's not, you don't like start at the beginning. You just go wherever you want.
You flip to a certain thing, and you have to scratch it off with like a quarter or something.
Yeah.
And then it tells you, and then it's once you scratch it off, you have to commit to it.
Oh, that's cool.
The last one we did, we had to go. We had to go get appetizers, main course, and desserts at 3 different places.
Oh.
And we had to speak in different accents the entire time.
No way.
Yeah.
How was that?
Very interesting.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A lot of like waiters look at you weird.
The first one we told them, we're like, all right, so here's what we're doing. So we're gonna do this thing with you. And they loved it.
Yeah.
Like the other people that were there were like laughing, and they were like, you did pretty good. Good job on that, you know.
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
Yeah, I bet.
It's tough.
Yeah.
But after we did it, like the next day or two, we were at the store and we pulled up to the drive-thru to go to like the pharmacy or something. Mm-hmm. And out of nowhere, I just went into one of the accents and it caught her off guard.
Yeah.
Well, the woman at the window doesn't have any idea.
Yeah, she has no idea who you are.
And my wife was sitting there and she like turned and looked at me. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I think I like this. This is me now. Yeah, I can't remember any of the other names, but we named ourselves Phyllis and Earl.
Earl
at the first one.
Nice.
So we ended up getting an adventure challenge for 12 Days of Christmas.
Oh, that's cool.
And this is the one that gave me anxiety because I was like, oh, I told my wife before we got it, I was like, I swear, if this mug has me knocking on my neighbor's door to sing Christmas carols, she's like, fine, we just won't get it. And I was like, oh, get the book. I know how excited it is, you know. I felt bad. Yeah. But it was just like, there's a point where I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah, because this holiday, you know, has been, it is tied in with spreading cheer and joy to people around you, you know, which is great.
My neighbors would get a kick out of it, but
right.
At what cost to me?
Right. Like, yeah, I still got to see you when I mow.
Yeah, like, they're going to think I was drinking.
Yeah, like, oh, hey, Scott.
Want to sing?
You want to sing you got a national anthem?
Yeah.
It's July.
So we got the book, and we put it aside for a while. We didn't realize, you know, like, okay, it's 12 days. We had it about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, we need to get it started.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, last Sunday, I was like, let's get 12 days. You know, it was the 12th. So we'll do one a day, and that should put us right before Christmas.
Sure.
It's actually the 14th you start, and it actually says in the book the date. So the 14th to 15th. And I got to tell you, man, it's hard to do something like that every single day. And I don't know if the book is going to change from year to year.
Yeah.
But it's got some fun stuff. One of the things we did last night was you have to do basically Chubby Bunny with a bunch of marshmallows.
Yeah.
And you break up into teams, and then you have to read famous movie quotes from Christmas movies, and to see if the other
while doing Chubby Bunny.
While doing Chubby Bunny. So we're shoving our mouth full of marshmallows.
Yeah.
As my wife, my son, and his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was messy.
Yeah. What are some of the quotes you guys were doing? Do they give them to you in the book?
So you can either look them up, or you can flip the back of the thing open, and there's a QR code that takes you to like a landing page of nothing but quotes.
Oh, that's cool.
So you time it, and you just kind of go through, and but they were quotes from like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, a bunch of them from Elf,
nice,
Home Alone, nice, things like that. So
you were smooching with everybody.
Yeah, there was a competition to see who could put the most marshmallows in their mouth at first, and then it was like, there's no way anybody can speak.
Right. Like,
sound does not escape.
At some point, the only thing that escapes is drool.
That was established the first person to go. And then when everybody starts laughing, you exhale, and the drool just kind of... My son's girlfriend, she was trying to talk, and I don't know what it was. She started to like giggle and then laugh, and then I laughed.
Yeah.
And she basically spit out like
just flip.
Two, yeah. But I got like spackle across the table. She didn't realize it. And my wife's like, did you see what happened? She's like, no. She's like, you got Scott's, shirt all the way over there. She's like,
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I was whatever. Like, dude, it's whatever. It's just marshmallow. But yeah, so that was fun. That's one of the challenges. Another one is you'll have to drive around, you break into teams, you create a scavenger hunt, and you decide what you're going to go find to take pictures of.
Yeah.
Certain ornaments or things, Christmas-based or whatever.
Yeah.
Another one was, the first one was you find a random ornament in your house, and it becomes the thing that you hide.
Ooh.
Anywhere in the house, but you have to write a clue and leave it out for everybody to find.
Sure.
And then the person who finds it gets to hide it, and you repeat until Christmas. And then you vote to find out who had the best clue and hiding space.
So you hide it every day until...
And yeah, I mean, it could go 2-3 days if people haven't found it.
Right, depending on when you pick that challenge. Mm-hmm. That's fun.
So I think we're on our 4th or 5th hiding spot. So it's
who has had the best spot so far?
Well, I have.
Yeah.
I mean, of course.
Yeah.
I put mine on a music box or like kind of draped it. And then my clue, I just drew on the notepad. I drew a couple of music notes.
Yeah.
Everybody immediately went to the sound bar.
Yeah, of course.
All 3 other people, they see that and they're like, oh. And then they're walking around looking at every Google speaker in the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, cool.
I mean, you guys are right, but you're also wrong.
You're very wrong. So my son hit it last, and we're trying to figure it out. He's like, the best gift this year was the clue. Mm. We don't know if he's being a smartass or if he's being genuine. We don't know if it's related. I mean, we looked around for about 20 minutes, and we were like, I'm going to have to marinate on your clue.
Yeah.
Figure out what angle you're approaching this.
You're right.
So that's what we've been doing. We did some Christmas cookies on Sunday, a couple days ago. We'll be icing some of the sugar cookies. But yeah, without really the snow, it doesn't truly feel like Christmas season.
Yeah.
So it's
very busy out when you go out. Everything is very busy, but you're right. It doesn't really feel like the lead up to the holidays. Mm-hmm. And I mean, honestly, as I've gotten older, I feel that less and less because regular life just keeps happening.
Yeah.
And when you're younger, it's like, oh, Christmas break.
Yep.
And then, like, oh,
I'm
Christmas
off school
is coming for a week or 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then
I don't go back for another week after Christmas.
And then it really felt like holidays working retail because everything changed. But now that I'm not in retail anymore and I'm not a kid, it's almost like, oh yeah, Christmas is next week.
It's going, yeah.
Okay.
That still happens.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't need treacherous roads or conditions, but I would appreciate, I mean, if the days are short and dark and, chilly, give me some snow. And but yeah, so that's really what we've been up to. Catching up some different TV shows, doing some different things. We've both seen Spider-Man.
Yes.
Since the last episode.
Yep.
And we talked a little bit off the show here.
Yeah.
What would you give that out of a 10?
Out of a 10? Man, it's hard because
and you can always change it. I'm not going to nail you down.
So I think when we talked about it initially, it was only like a day or 2 removed from when I saw it, and I really liked it. But now the more that I've thought about it, not the less I've liked it, but it hasn't gotten me the same. I would probably give it a 7.
Yep.
Yeah, probably a 7 out of 10.
That's about where I am. They hit pretty much what I expected them to hit. But it's not the kind of movie where I'm like, I'd like to see that again in a theater if I can.
And you know what's strange is, as much as I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man, I feel like he is maybe the best Spider-Man to me. Tobey Maguire was good the more that I look back on his Spider-Man. I don't really have a desire to watch any of the latest Spider-Man movies again.
That is interesting because I think Friday night I came home and my wife was maybe 15, 20 minutes into Homecoming.
Yeah.
So, and it was on TV with commercials and everything. So she's just kind of like playing on her phone, watching it. We sat down and, I started watching it. We finished it. Mm-hmm. And then we watched Far From Home.
Yeah.
And she brought up the point. She's like, I don't think she was surprised by some of the things. She's like, I forgot that this and that guy. And I thought he was, a bad guy. And I'm like, we realized that she had only seen them the one time at the theater.
Yeah.
And whereas other Marvel movies, if they're on, she'll watch them.
Right.
Or seek them out even. Mm-hmm. So for that, I don't know what that is. Cause I'm the same way with you. It's like, I like them.
Yeah.
I really do. But I don't know that I'm like.
There's other ones that I've watched again. Like I've seen Doctor Strange, more times than I can count on my hands. Yeah. I love that movie. I've seen Winter Soldier over a handful of times. I mean, I've seen a lot of these movies a lot, but Spider-Man is one of those ones that it's just, I don't really have a desire to watch it again.
You think it's the story type, like Winter Soldier, or something being like a spy film?
Maybe.
And this is more of like a high school coming of age.
Maybe.
Like, just doesn't resonate with you?
It's possible.
Yeah.
It could be that. I never really felt like the stakes were very high in Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. But we've talked out a couple of times about how we appreciate that about Hawkeye and Spider-Man, even,
right?
Because you get to these other ones that they build up to these huge things, and you're like, dude, I don't need a whole country or a whole planet to be at peril,
right,
or in peril,
right?
Because it's happened so much,
right? Because it has happened so much, but there's something about the Spider-Man, like he always makes it through. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We've seen him in how many movies now, and he makes it through, and like it just doesn't ever feel like there's really like the first time Spider-Man was that it was like, oh man, this is real, was when he got snapped.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, wow, Spider-Man's gone.
Yeah.
Like, but up until then, it was just kind of like, he's not going to die. Like, right. I know he's not going to die. They're not going to kill Spider-Man.
Yeah, he just joined the universe.
So, maybe it's that.
Yeah.
But it also could be just, different stage of life. It's hard to resonate with that character as much.
So this episode is going to be called Luke Wants to Kill Spider-Man.
Right, sure.
For good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, back to No Way Home. Mm-hmm. It was a good movie, and it did the things it needed to do for Spider-Man's story, I think. It'll be interesting to see, that what the next Spider-Man might look like, because, we have one more movie with Tom Holland, I think, that has been, talked about, but I'm guessing he might be in another ensemble movie at some point too.
Sure.
It'll be interesting to see where he goes. I thought he was done. I didn't realize he had signed on for another movie. Mm-hmm. So I thought he was done, and I thought it was a really clever way of, kind of giving him an out of the MCU. But now that it's not an out, it's a little weird of like,
it could include an arc.
Now? Yeah.
But
yeah,
if you start down another road, does it have to be another 2 to 3 film storytelling?
Right.
Yeah, I'm very much in agreement with you. I would say probably about a 7. Mm-hmm. And I think I'd seen it like a day or so before you, and you texted, you're like, so that was really great, right? And I was like, that was good. Yeah. And it had already started to settle in for me, where I was just kind of like, it was good.
Yeah.
But I'm not here to yuck on somebody else's yum.
For sure.
Because I've seen a lot of people are like, dude, this is the best. This is, and I know there were some fan servicey moments in the film that weren't overly generic.
Yeah.
Or just there for the sake of being there. But I think there were some that were just like, oh, that's kind of cool how they did that. And
Yeah.
at one point, I did lean over to my wife, and I just looked at her. And I was like, "That's kind of cool." That something, and I don't want to spoil anything, but something visually, I was like, "That's kind of cool how they did that." So, So we've both seen that, and we've also keep it up on Hawkeye.
Yes.
We've got one more, and then on to
Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Dude, Hawkeye, I really like it. I really like. I've really liked Jeremy Renner just in general.
Yeah.
And you almost kind of forget he's Hawkeye because it's been such kind of a background character.
And because he's not like superpowers, and
right?
It's not like, it's more grounded in reality.
Yep.
So you're not constantly reminded that this guy can fly,
right,
or can, do anything crazy that's not of this earth,
right?
But I like that intimate storytelling. I like him as an actor, and I like what he's done with the character.
Yeah,
I feel like he's more relatable. I think it will be interesting to go back and watch some of the other stuff.
Yes,
with that weight of Hawkeye.
Yep.
I don't know if that makes anything necessarily better, but
we can appreciate some of the
backstories.
Spoiler alert for the rest of this episode. I did go back and watch a little bit of, of stuff that included him. So it's
so you watched
Endgame. Yeah, I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then I watched Endgame. But it's definitely his side of the story, because Endgame is, where we first hear about Ronin.
Yeah.
And it's definitely different. Like, you see even, all the stuff with Black Widow that happens in that movie. It all, I watched it to remind myself of all of those things that happened, because in Hawkeye now we're seeing, the effects that has on him, and the stuff that he's wrestling with as a person and also as a hero. It was a good reminder of that history of that character. And now we're seeing, we're so close to the finale. We only have one episode left, and I feel like there's so much going on that I don't understand how they get it all wrapped up in one episode. It's just
yeah.
And we talked a little bit about, we have the Echo show happening, but that's it. And so it'll be interesting. There's always, in the slates of the Marvel release timeline, there's always, another show TBD and stuff. So I'm wondering if, when Hawkeye ends, if they're like, oh, by the way, we have this show coming. Or, by the way, this movie's coming out.
Well, you can't rule it out now, because we've seen that happen with Star Wars.
Right.
And you would assume that they'd be willing to do that for other properties.
Right. Yeah. Are we going to have another, is there going to be a Daredevil movie, or is there going to be a Kingpin movie, or, are we going to have something else that plays into, some of the things we're starting to see in this world to tie things together?
I'm curious if there's some kind of like announcement of does Hawkeye as a series going forward, does it pivot to Kate Bishop's character?
Right.
And Hawkeye, and I mean, we can't really, we're getting into spoiler space if we talk about other people.
Right.
But it seems like they could go in 2 or 3 different directions from here.
Yeah.
And it's really fascinating to me, because I don't feel like you have to follow everything. You don't have to see every Marvel movie. You can kind of jump in wherever.
Yeah.
And just kind of go back and fill in the blanks, or see some other stuff. But it's different than when like the Avengers started out.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, here's a standalone. There's a big one coming. Here's a couple more standalones.
Yeah.
Like the phases felt like you had these big chapters.
Right. And the phases had in those big ensemble tie-in movies that kind of, you know, brought everything in that phase together. And we have yet to know what that might be for this phase.
Right.
You know, and I think that's the part that I think maybe I'm waiting for, or, you know, some people are waiting for, is I'm seeing all of these different stories, but I've been trained that they all tie together. So how?
What's the big payoff for now?
And maybe there's not. You know, maybe this is a different storytelling that they're doing.
Yeah.
And to be fair, a lot of those phases, you know, the phases that we've seen before didn't have Disney Plus as a storytelling avenue either.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see kind of what that looks like. Is it we're tying this all into a big ensemble thing at the end, or is it just we're just telling different stories that are in this world
and that all kind of happen at this time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and we'll reference something and reference something else, but they don't have to be connected.
Yeah. Did you see the headline this week about the book of Boba Fett? They can't show anything beyond the first half of the first episode.
Yeah.
Or tease anything because there's some kind of spoiler.
Yeah.
Any idea where that
might
goes?
Go? I have no idea. I'm guessing
somebody else alive from that time.
Yes. I'm guessing it's something like that. And I think if I had to guess, it would be Anakin.
Yeah.
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 That's what I'm guessing.
There was the report that Harrison Ford had been on set at some point, not necessarily, maybe not for that,
right?
But for some filming,
right?
Potentially as like a de-aged Harrison Ford.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you dangle that immediately in episode 1. I don't. And
that seems like I mean, if we're just looking back at what they did with Mandalorian, we didn't see Boba Fett until, I mean, we saw the back of him in like episode 2, at the end of episode 2, I think.
Of season 2.
Yeah. But, man, to show Harrison Ford in halfway through season 1, that would be.
It tells me there's more screen time, and I don't know if that's more than he's signed on for.
That almost doesn't make sense because it's just so much CGI. If they're having to de-age somebody like that, it just seems a little like, why? But I could see, a Hayden Christensen.
I feel like there's going to be, like, part of me is like the book of Boba Fett. I see how they can do it as chapters, like Mandalorian chapter 1.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure.
So that is its own book.
Yeah.
But then I also think there might be like a literal like book of like things he needs to
work through. Like his hit book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got things he needs to scratch off in a book.
Yeah.
And each episode
from the however many years it's been since we saw him.
And it could be that's what I was going to say. My gut tells me we could be playing with time jumping of some things that happened prior to the Sarlacc.
Yeah.
And some storytelling off, stuff that was off screen at a time.
Oh yeah. So I guess if that timeline is like that, then it could be, who could it be?
Or maybe not even who, but just the device of whatever the storytelling is.
Yeah.
Like we assume it takes place linearly.
Right.
And just moves forward from that point. But does the book, is there back and forth of, does he walk in Jabba's palace and have a memory, and then they cut to, flashback of.
Right. This episode takes place,
the last time I was in this room.
Right.
Was this.
Or is it, I want to take out this person that wronged me in the past, and this is the story of that. And then the other half of the episode is him doing it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I like that.
We're going to find out real soon.
Yeah, we are. Gosh, so soon.
Any other TV, movies?
I mean, I've been catching up on Wheel of Time.
How do you feel about that?
You know what? It's good. There's some departure from the books.
Yeah.
For sure, departure from the books. And it's interesting now because the other thing I started watching was the season 2 of The Witcher. So they're very much play in the same sandbox kind of ideas of fantasy world that has magic and
does
all
one
this kind
feel
of
like
stuff.
Feel more pro compared to the other?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Witcher has a definitive style in what they want, and I think Wheel of Time does too. But Wheel of Time, it's their first season, so you don't really know exactly where they're going, and because of I don't think I would really think of it at all if I hadn't read the book or the books. But since I have, things that happen are, some things that are different. I go, okay, why are they different? So what could that mean? And if that's different, are they doing this different? Are they doing this different? Like,
sure.
So I guess you kind of don't know what's happening either, but from a different perspective, you don't know what's happening because it's different from what should be happening.
Is it generally following the same path? Just kind of shoots off little random.
Yeah, some little things
asides.
happen that are different. Some kind of side story-esque things happen, but kind of everybody ends up where they should be ending up in key moments.
Okay.
But it's told obviously a lot faster than the books are. So, we're in season or episode 6 or 7 now.
Yeah.
And we're already almost to the end of the first book.
Okay.
So, and I think that's what it's leading up to is the ending of the first book. But some of the way that they've gotten to that point is different. Mm-hmm. And I'm still enjoying it. I still really am enjoying it. But some of the character development choices are I'm interested to see how they land based on the character from the book.
Okay.
But I'm really liking it. And then Witcher season 2 it's really good. That's all. I mean, that's really all I can say is it's just really good.
How far are you in that?
Episode 7
out of.
I want to say there's 10 maybe.
Okay.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's definitely cool. I didn't read those books, but I played the games. And stories are very similar. From what I've heard, obviously the book is way more in depth. But it's really good. Henry Cavill is great as Geralt of Rivia.
He strikes me as the kind of guy that's like way cooler than he needs to be. He could probably get away with being a whole lot down to earth and approachable. Mm-hmm. He just seems like damn, dude, you are a cool guy and you're handsome as hell.
Yeah.
And you're really good in some of your roles. Mm-hmm. And just, I kind of feel like sometimes like when I see like when Ryan Gosling's on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you could totally get away with not doing this.
Yeah.
Nobody would be mad at you.
Right.
But you just want to play these characters and do these things.
And I think that's the thing and I think that's why he's gaining such a fan base and people are really liking him is because, he is the guy that could be, George Clooney or Tom Cruise and be the next Hollywood face and guy. And he's choosing to do things that he cares about. And he's a big nerd.
He's a fan of those things, not just his agent signed him a deal.
I saw a Graham Norton interview where he was talking about playing Warhammer and there's been videos that he's put online of him building his PC and PC gaming and stuff. And he's just a nerd and he really likes these things. And he just also happens to be, the captain of the football team and the best person in music theater at school, and all the girls still love him. Like he is the guy that can do all, and everybody likes him.
He could have gone the way of Brandon Routh.
Yeah,
just Superman. That was the guy that played Superman for a while. But yeah, like in Mission Impossible, he was great.
Oh yeah,
like you can see him being Bond potentially. But there are other people.
The movie wasn't good, wasn't great, but I really liked him in Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I understand he did well in the Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah,
as Sherlock Holmes in the
Enola Holmes.
Yeah,
he was good.
Yep.
I mean, he was admittedly a side character.
Sure.
Which
again goes to that point of like, oh, they could have got anybody for that. Yeah. It's a Netflix film, and he's not the lead, but they got this guy that's like, wow.
But yeah, I would say
I thought you would have been busy when we were filming this,
right? I think he learned that he can't be busy when he's filming anything from the Superman debacle. Yeah,
he's come out of that better than I expected.
Well, I don't think it wasn't his fault,
right?
You know, it was he was Superman, and then he got a movie. He got Man from U.N.C.L.E., I think it was.
Yeah.
And he had a mustache, and then they were like,
"You're talking about specifically about that?"
Yeah. And then they were like, "We have to do reshoots," and he's like, "Sorry,
contract says I have to wear this." Yeah.
Like that wasn't his fault, but I think it was all right. I'm gonna make this not part of.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make this not an issue anymore.
Right.
But yeah, man, that Witcher's great. It's gory, it's intense, it's explicit. Like, it's not a a teen fantasy. It's not like most of the fantasy stuff we see is like very much geared toward teens or something. This is very much pretty intense.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because one of the main characters this season is a girl. And so it's kind of the story of her being in this world and finding her own, all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
It's really good. I'm enjoying it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had we talked about this a few episodes. Well, it's been a while now, but there's a show on HBO now that is based off of a book, and they dropped the first 3 episodes all at once. Is Station 11?
Oh yeah.
And I had downloaded the book on Audible, fully intending that over a 10-hour period, or maybe faster if I sped up the listening speed.
Sure.
That I was thinking I could do this on a flight. I've got a 4 or 5 hour flight. I can hit this on the way and back and be done.
Yeah.
Never listened to it. And then the show is out. It's here. I watched all 3 episodes last Saturday. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's also, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know what's going on.
Sure.
But I don't know where they're going with this.
Yeah.
And they dangle a couple of things that you're looking at, like, oh, this hops through time and through so many, like, each episode kind of feels like it follows a different lead character. And I think I texted you when I was like, man, I'm getting some like Cloud Atlas vibes on this.
I loved that. Oh, I loved that. The movie was fine, but I love that book.
So if I don't want to compare it to that,
and
I don't want to say that it's going there. I want to listen to the book now, but I don't want to get ahead already.
Yeah,
and
that's interesting. Maybe so. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah,
because I forgot. Maybe I'll watch it and then listen to the book.
That's what I'm going to end up doing.
Yeah,
like I don't want to return the book.
Right,
I'll do it anyways.
Yeah.
But
which, side note, Audible is awesome for that.
Yeah,
you just say, "Nah, I don't like this," and they're like, "All right,
yeah,
pick something else."
Yeah, what was it? I had one time I was asked, what was it about the book?
Yeah.
And I was like, it was just a little bit more. It was a book on sleep.
Yeah,
like sleeping patterns and the health of it and all that. but we tried to listen to it as a Audible, and it was just like nonstop studies and stats.
It puts you to sleep.
And that was the irony. My wife and I were like, this book is actually going to put me to sleep because it's saying these things, and I'm driving.
Right.
And I love to drive and listen to a book.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I'm not following this. I'm not even, I need to see these charts that they're talking about. And so I just told them, I was like, it isn't so much about like the benefits of sleep and the health and the science behind it, but it was like the data behind it. And that, they were like, cool. No problem.
Audible is awesome about that. And if anybody's listening and doesn't have Audible, check it out because sweet.
And if you've got a book that you downloaded through Audible and you're like, I never finished it.
I'm never going to listen to this or something.
Try it. You might there might be a statute of limitations on how long you have on the book.
Right.
But if you just abandoned something or never listened to it, you could probably get another book for it.
Yep. Anyway, you were saying.
No, so I watched that. And I think they're going to do 2 more episodes a week. If I read this properly, they're going to do 2 at a time and then 1 at the end.
Gotcha. So we're looking at what, 10 episodes or something
10.
like that?
So there's 3
4 more weeks.
And then I think they're going to do another 6 that way. And then the 10th.
Nice.
I think so.
Nice.
I might be wrong. But I'm curious about why are there so many different stories are we following? And you do see them overlap. You're like, oh, this relates to that person. But then just from the trailers and stuff, I got vibes of like, is there something happening through time?
Yeah.
Like Cloud Atlas, where it was just kind of like these souls that kind of, are destined to interact and find each other.
Right.
But I don't know that would be way too derivative.
Right.
But like, this is a critically acclaimed book.
Right.
So it's got to be something. So.
Yeah.
And then I watched, let's see, the season finale of Survivor. My wife and I were not exactly happy with the person who won.
With who survived.
The sole survivor. But we get it.
Yeah.
We see why. We were really surprised at the way the votes went.
It's Richard Hatch again, wasn't it?
Yeah. He wasn't there the entire season. And then when it came time to vote.
There he is.
8 out of 9 votes. Richard Hatch. They voted for the first time since the first season, like immediately after they cast the votes. Normally he's like, all right, holds him in his palm, in this thing, and then walks through the jungle and then grabs onto like a helicopter rope. And you would assume that he just flies directly to Burbank, California, and lands to read them. But never mind the fact that it's been 8 months.
Right.
This one, he was like, all right, so this is an interesting season of firsts and a lot of things we haven't, new challenges and new twists.
Sure.
How about one more? We're going to announce the winner right now.
Oh, wow.
And they brought the jury over and they all sat down and they started having pizza and everything. But they announced the winner right there. And it was weird because you felt differently about some of the people who came in second and third or the runners up. Because it all happened right there in the moment, and they're hitting them with questions of like, they're fresh off of like challenges and everything. It isn't like they had to go home and live with it and come back and wait for the result.
Right.
It's, you just got done pleading your case for this vote 6 minutes ago. You lost. Like, it's all in the past already.
Wow.
So it felt really weird to see that happen to people. But I'm back on the Survivor bandwagon.
Yeah.
It's one of those shows where for a while I just kind of forgot to record or just tell YouTube TV to record them. And I happened to catch it this year. I was like, oh, it's coming up next Wednesday or whatever. And I went in and just hit record. So I think the new season says spring. So I'm assuming like February, March.
Nice.
But the way they made it sound was they were going to clear out everything after they were done. Like the producers and everything were going to clear out. And then the next morning, the new survivors would be landing on that island.
Oh, wow.
And they would start another season like back to back. Of course, edited and whatever over time.
Oh, but it's still Jeff Probst, right?
He's done every season.
Man, there's no break, huh?
No break. Now, this was 26 days instead of 39.
Okay.
So they went every 2 days instead of every 3 days for
all right.
voting somebody out.
Yeah.
But it still felt like a full season.
Yeah.
Of Survivor.
Interesting.
Yep. And then I watched two other things. One was, well, they're both, I guess you would call them documentary style.
Mm-hmm.
One was called Life of Crime.
Yeah.
On HBO Max.
Uh-huh.
Somewhere back in the late 80s, early 90s, somewhere I remember watching some HBO documentary, like true, I don't know if it was a series that they had done or what, but I remember seeing these people, these characters, the cameras followed these guys in New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
And you just kind of got a feel for what their life was like, where they lived, what they did for money, not necessarily for work, but for money, for drugs, and just kind of followed them around.
Yeah. Fly
on the wall stuff. Did not interfere in any way. And then they kind of revisited those people over the years. Yeah. And it was interesting to see that, like, this was called Life of Crime 1984 to 2020. So it was like, it told me that this is the end of it. This, like, or we're going to give you, like, a comprehensive look at everything that we captured over the years.
Right.
But it follows these same characters all the way up through 2020.
Wow.
And you see them. It's very interesting to see things jump like 3 weeks, 4 months, 8 years. And then, but to watch these people age and to go through these things, it's tough, man.
Yeah.
It is, especially because, you're watching these people like with addictions and you don't know, like, oh man, it seems like he's turning the corner or she's turning the corner. And the next time you see him like 2 weeks later, like, really?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
My heart.
Yeah.
So if you are into that kind of true, like, documentary, like just real people, not polished, produced well, but the guy who was behind the camera, his name was John, and the people treated him very, like, they refer to him like, they talk to him all the time. Oh, John, good to see you. And, he'd catch up to him on the street. Like, oh, hey, John. He's like, where you coming from? He's like, oh, I just got out of jail and I'm heading to the bank, or I've got to go back to jail because I forgot my teeth. It's just like really real people.
Yeah.
So if you like that kind of stuff, I definitely recommend it.
Interesting. Is it so if you're watching them from, you said, the 80s until 2020, it is very rare that you see something like that on video anymore. Like, you watch a documentary on like an artist or somebody and you can see like shots of them in their career, but not,
or a moment in their career,
right?
Not decades of their life,
right? That's the only thing that and this was a fictional movie, but the only thing I remember is that movie Boyhood.
Yeah.
Where we saw that actor, over
age,
11 years or whatever. That's got to be strange to see.
It is, and for me, it was like, it was weird to go back to these people that I forgot existed.
Sure.
And to see them and go, man, I thought they were so much older when I was, like a high school kid.
Right.
Late teens. I'd look at these people. Now, the drugs in their lifestyle aged them up a little bit.
Sure.
But I always thought, man, when you're a high school kid, like, people in their 40s are the same as the people in their 50s,
right.
60s. And so to go back and see them and to watch them, like, when the screen would go blank and it's like 6 years later, like, and then you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
He's lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's healthy. I wonder if he's clean. I wonder, oh, look, he's got a haircut now and he looks good. And or to see it jump and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine what the last 2 years were like for this guy.
Right.
Since we last saw him.
Right.
So I might revisit that again.
Yeah.
Before too long.
So is it overall, and we can move on from after this, but is it overall just like a just a slice of time?
Yep, slice of life.
Is it like a cautionary tale to the viewer, or like?
Yes.
Okay.
I would also say that because these people are, all of them are into. I mean, it's called Life of Crime,
right?
So you see, but all of them are affected by drugs in one way or the other, and there are kids.
Oh wow!
So you see like kids way younger than yours,
right?
Out at like 1 a.m. standing on the street while their mom's walking down to sell drugs to a car that just pulled up.
Yeah.
And, hanging out of windows and just like, oh, these poor kids. And then you see them in the future. You're like, oh, that's the kid.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Or people that were full adults when it first started. Towards the end of the show, they kind of show some people. They're like, oh, I remember you. You were. And they would show footage from like the 90s. And you're like, whoa. Man, this person is still in the same spot doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And just looks that much older.
Wow.
Like that's just their life.
Huh.
It's kind of, it's definitely one, it's an eye opener.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those like, man, makes you just really appreciate people who can kind of survive that, come out of that and battle those demons and whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other ones that thing that I watched is more like we talked about is like a moment of time in somebody's life. Is I watched the final music box.
Oh right, yeah,
on HBO.
Yeah,
and this one was on Juice World.
Oh wow, yeah.
So my son, when he passed away, I told my son I remember reading the headline on Reddit, and I was like, "Hey, dude, check this out!" And immediately, like. It was the first time I saw him like affected by a celebrity death.
Right.
So he was just like, are you for real? Like from what? It's like, I could give you all the information you want. It's not going to make sense to you right now.
Right.
Like it's just, this thing's happened.
Right.
So this follows him over like 2018, 19, 20, as he's like really just hitting his stride as an artist.
Yeah.
And you see him at different, in different studios, different places, radio, TV interviews, different things where you're just like, you get to see his ability as a rapper, as the ability to come up with stuff off the top of his head. The stuff that he would talk about and rap about, you realize kind of in hindsight that this is a guy who was, the stuff that he's coming up with isn't like he's reaching to create a fantasy or some fiction. He's talking about himself. And we might want to take his words a little bit more literal. Kind of reminded me of like Amy Winehouse.
Sure.
Where you just kind of look at it and go, oh man, we kind of saw this, didn't we?
Yeah, like, if we had maybe looked a little different, maybe something would be different.
Yeah, or if the questions were asked, or somebody was there to step in, some accountability or some kind of like holding a mirror up. So definitely, as a series, I loved the music box.
Yeah, and
I thought this was a really good one. It was more entertaining than I thought it would be. As I knew that one was coming up as the last one. I was like, I've seen 5. I should watch the 6th one.
Yeah.
But I was glad that I watched it. It was pretty good.
Nice.
And it does touch on, like, it kind of ends right around when he dies. Whereas, like, the, what was the DMX one did not. It was just more of like a slice of time. This one kind of leads up to a point and you're like, oh, this is like right up to the moments or so.
Right.
This is his life.
Right.
So, yeah. That's it for what's in the past. Anything else going on with? Oh, I know. I know one. The both of us are doing, taking a lot of our time. Is this Wombo?
Oh my gosh.
The AI art, the app, Dream.
I would like to just first say, Sean, I love you, but I hate you because you've You've taken away so much of my lifetime now.
But Sean has now, he's responsible for all these wonderful things you've created.
Absolutely. So tell us what Wombo is.
It's an app.
Yes.
The app is called Dream. You can also go to the website. It's basically AI algorithms that you plug in prompts. So you would type in like up to 100 characters of like keywords, whatever you would want. So if you were like sunset over the Pacific,
right,
or R2D2,
right,
or Marvel Daredevil,
yep,
charcuterie board,
right,
anything you want, it generates art on the fly using these prompts. And there are, I think, a dozen art styles. So when you put in your prompt, then you pick an art style, and then it creates it right now. And you can watch it kind of being created in stages.
Yeah.
And then once it's created, it's unique. It is totally 100% unique. You cannot create it again. You could use the same prompts 1,000 times.
It will make something different.
You will get 1,000 different pieces.
Right.
And vastly different pieces. So I've spent, since I learned of it Friday, I had seen some Twitter. I even have Twitter accounts that I follow that were creating art pieces. And these, like, it would just share the prompt and the piece. And I was like, oh, that's an instant follow. That's so cool. And I didn't realize that it was like right there available for me to play with. I start playing with it. I'm plugging in immediately. I'm like, oh, I'm plugging in Pink Floyd lyrics. I'm plugging in song titles and getting all these, like, holy cow, how does it do that?
Right.
Like, it's not like a literal taking of a word, like Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
If I asked somebody who didn't know that that was a body of work, if I said, create a piece of art called Dark Side of the Moon, you're going to draw like craters and moons.
Right.
And you're going to have a certain art style, but it will create it in a way that might show a prism somewhere or a triangle, and you'll see like splashes of a rainbow through it, which are pulled from the album artwork.
Yeah.
Or you might say, if you put a year or a color or any little thing in there to change the prompt, it is crazy. And I would say 4 out of 5, if not more, I'm saving them immediately to my phone because I'm like, that's too good. That's so good. I got to share that. I got to show somebody.
Right.
Once in a while, you'll get a stinker.
Yeah. And
then once in a while, you'll get one. You're like, oh, I should, maybe if I just put this on there, and then it comes up and works just fine.
Yep.
And then it's just so hard to like sit here and get work done the week before Christmas. And you're like, I can passively type in a keyword and let it generate this. And while I check my email and I look over and see this, I'm like, dude, look at this. Look what it did for my Wizard of Oz or Emerald City. And just see these things, and you're like, I want to print out every one of these things.
Yeah, dude.
Like, the art styles are so unique, and they're so cool. So,
from messing with it, so you told me about it yesterday.
Yeah.
So I've been playing with it all of, really 24 hours, and I've saved easily 30 different images that have been created. And if I had to guess on how this works, it seems like they're taking your prompts and doing maybe an image search and then kind of compiling the overall, average of what those images would be, and then spitting out some sort of artwork based on the style of art that you chose.
Yeah.
And there's like 13 different styles I was looking, and one non-style.
Yeah. So,
and it's very strange because you'll pick one. If you pick something like, fantasy, It's very surreal and crazy. But then if you pick
steampunk,
or there's one called Etched, it's a very like very different style, and they're all it's not like they take the same image and make it the other style. It's almost like a total reinterpretation of those keywords. I would love to see it create 13 different images based on one prompt, like 13 different images in each style
at one
time. Yeah, it's.
Now, you can also immediately from the app and from the website, you can buy a print.
Yeah.
You can go in and say, I do want that piece.
Yeah.
And on the mobile app, you can save that. So it's like under your profile, under your login.
Right.
So you can go back and see that you publish is what it's called.
Right.
So you can go through and scroll through those. And then if you decide later, you're like, you know what? I do want to print that out. You could still do that. From the computer, you can't. Once you go back or create a new piece,
right.
If you save it, you're just saving a local copy.
Right.
But after that, it's gone. So to that point, these are truly unique, and it really kind of dovetails with the idea of NFT because it is that singular, one of a kind. You know, you might collect a whole series of pieces that you really like.
Yeah.
That have a certain prompt or have a certain theme, but there's only one of this.
Right.
So I'm really curious as to how that will go because the website shows coming soon Mint NFT.
Yeah.
So you can create that. And I don't know if that just opens up the market to just like hundreds of thousands of like everybody wanting to mint stuff and make money off of it.
Yeah.
Or if it's, you know, if people care about minting, want to spend the gas fees or whatever to do that.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see where that goes.
Right.
And to find out if it's like, is it worth trying to create one and put it out there? And get the money before everybody else gets there?
I mean, as soon as it's available, I'll try it. I'll try and mint one and throw it up on, OpenSea or something and see what happens.
Yeah. It's easily the biggest time suck I've had in a long time.
Well, I think the thing that keeps me coming back to it is it's so unique every time it makes a picture from the prompts. I already have something in my head of what I am imagining, and then it'll show me what it made, and it's similar to that, but different in a way that I never would have thought of.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so crazy to me is like, there's nothing really definite. Like you don't see, it's very rare that you'll see, a face that looks like a person.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of
like 6 faces overlapping that all have a
right. Or there's
like,
shapes that kind of put you to that person's face and you can see a likeness.
Yeah.
And it's done in such a way, like I did a Doctor Strange one earlier today that was a really kind of just, it was a whole bunch of pastel kind of colors and strokes and nothing.
And very abstract. A lot of these are very abstract.
But they were done in such a way that you could see the collar of his cloak and you could see the
blue
points of his eyebrows and the his raised eyes and the swoop of his hair and
the splashes of white on the side of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's very call to mind. It's very inspiring artwork to me.
Yeah, it's not something like if you like, realistic kind of artwork or something that looks like a photograph. It's not this. It's very abstract, very
like if you typed in Yoda and created it, knowing it, like now playing with it, you'll go, oh dude, totally, look at that.
Yeah.
Or if I did Dagobah, you look at it and you're like, dude, for sure, look, over there's the X-Wing.
Right.
There's little splashes of red and white. That's that, so it's got that. It knows what Dagobah is.
Right.
But if you just show that to somebody and you go, what do you see? And they're going to be like, oh, a jungle, some green, I don't know. Dagobah. Oh yeah, I guess. But like once you start down this
you get into
path
it and kind of
creating,
you kind of learn how it
you learn how to look at art
learns.
differently too.
Yeah, you do.
Like you just start to see these things of like, oh yeah, I could totally. And some of it looks like somebody put like a fractured mirror.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it's just kind of like some of it looks like it's really thick latex paint.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's very like pencils and
Mm-hmm.
and if you pick the same theme over and over, you're still going to get different results over and over.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah.
I for me, it's that I love to create. I love like my downtime is to kind of like create.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of my internal like core values is
Sure.
I spend my free time being creative
Mm-hmm.
and creating.
Yeah.
So I love it because as soon as I'll make something, I'm like, ooh, yeah. Let me do another one.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that makes me, I should do the whole series of Pokemon because this is a really cool, like, as a theme, if you put these 4 things together on the wall, you're like, dude, what does that remind you of? Like, no, that's totally Wizard of Oz because that's a scarecrow, but it doesn't look like a scarecrow at all.
No.
It just happens to look like a field with these colors and like the arms hanging out.
Yeah.
And, like, there's a straw hat if you interpret it that way.
Yeah.
I love it. I can't get enough of it. I think there's over 1 million downloads of it already. So I know we're obviously late to it.
Yeah.
But nobody else.
I'm interested to see, as this, is catching on more and more and AI learning is a thing. Obviously we know that. But AI art creation, I'm interested to see what the conversations look like of, we'll have the conversation of, well, it's not done by a person. It's not real. Is it real art? Whatever. But then
are you the creator?
Yeah. Are you
really?
You
made the NFT. Is it yours?
Right.
Truly?
Because it's the algorithm that created it. Right. But you had to give it those prompts.
And pick that particular thing.
And, I'm not the only person that's put Ghostbusters into this prompt to see what came up.
Right.
But, from what I've been told, I am the only one that has this picture of the Ghostbusters that it came up with.
And are they any more responsible than Crayola for everybody else that has a box of markers and tried to draw Slimer?
Right.
But if you look at how many Slimers there are in that you've created,
right,
or Proton Pack or anything like that, like just the way that it creates that.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting landscape of conversation for art right now. Of what does AI created art mean to the creator? Is who owns it, and is it worth owning? Is it?
Yeah.
Because a lot of these, if I saw this hanging in a gallery and somebody, painted it, it would blow me away.
Yeah.
How does somebody make this? And there are people that do this style of artwork.
Yeah.
That's why this is the style that these things create, because it's already an artwork.
I would love to see other filters in here of like Picasso.
Mm-hmm.
But what's crazy is some of these will create it, and it's almost as if Picasso made
it really is
this version of Frankenstein.
Yeah, I want to watch an interview with the creators of this app.
I'm curious. Is it a real time fixing? Is it constantly being compiled with new data? Is it pulling? Where does that come from?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it? It's all very interesting to me, and how does it evolve?
Yeah,
and as somebody who does paint and spend all that time in there, how do they feel about something that I just throw in some prompts and create
by a computer doing it,
and I hit it, and within 10 to 15 seconds, I can order that thing.
I can order something that would take you a week or a month,
or you could toil over forever and never get anywhere near this,
right? And
I drop $150 and I've got a 24 by 36 framed piece.
Mm-hmm.
in the office that you look at and go, wow, that's really cool looking. Yeah, but you didn't. That's not art.
Does that matter? That's the conversation. That's like, because I know there's both. I see both sides of it.
Yep.
But, like you said, you create, I create. We both are creators. Like, I see the value in the hard work.
Yeah.
I see the value of the idea in my head and getting it out through my hands onto, a palette or a figure or whatever medium you choose, and to have that time and knowledge and work that you've put in to hone your craft being circumvented by a computer.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good as an artist, but
can you still appreciate it like I do?
But does that matter?
Right. As that artist, can you at least appreciate that for its own beauty?
Yeah.
That for its own, like, I can't believe something like this exists.
Yeah.
On this planet that will create this.
Right.
I see so many and I save them. I'm like, it makes me want to get back into painting.
Sure.
Like, I do pottery once a week, and I love the creative side of that. But I used to buy acrylic paints and canvases and brushes, and that's what I would do. I would put on podcasts or music, and I see this stuff, and I'm like, man, I totally need it. This inspires me to want to paint something like this.
Sure.
And know that I could do it and get a theme.
Yeah.
Without being like, oh, you don't know how to do eyes.
Right.
You can do the shapes well, but you don't. Your eyes suck.
Right.
But
I just don't have to do eyes.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. As long as I get the colors right in some basic shapes, then you can look at that and go, what do you see? Oh,
right.
that's a sunset over the Pacific.
Right.
So yeah, man, that's a whole. I mean,
it'll be really interesting to watch that space and watch, what happens, just what happens.
Yeah. Well, and I was trying to imagine, like, me getting tired and bored of this thing and it being like, draw something.
Yeah.
Where it's like, everybody on the planet's doing it right now, and then nobody's doing it.
Right.
It still exists out there, or people still creating that. I see this and I'm like, there are 1 million people on Android that are doing this, or at least have tried it.
Right.
But there are people I won't even show because they're not like, I don't, yeah.
Right.
And then there are other people and I'm like, dude, you got to check this out.
Right.
And I changed their life.
Right.
Like, dude, we're going to spend the next couple of days just passing these back and forth.
Which we have.
And I mean, and you, Sean, I love it.
Yeah.
Like, I hate thinking about, like, well, all the stuff that we're reviewing.
Yeah.
It's like there's apps and games, and I'm like, some of my games are like, you need to come back, you need to play me.
Yeah.
All of these, have refilled. It's time to collect. I'm like, not now. I'm making
art.
I'm doing Big Bird. I just did 9 Cookie Monsters in a row. And I want to print every one of them.
Yeah. I'm trying to find a good Sephiroth.
Oh, yeah, man. It's my everything. I don't have any other notes here, man.
Yeah, dude. We talked quite a bit about a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. So this will be put live later today, and then it'll be Christmas in a couple days. And then back at it for CES.
Yeah.
That's right there on the horizon.
Yep.
We'll start all over again.
Crazy time.
Indeed it is. If you made it all the way through this podcast, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
We appreciate it. And if you have any questions or feedback, or you have a topic you'd like to pick our brain about or share, or an app, or the next trend coming that we don't see, reach out to us at podcast@AndroidGuys.com.
Yeah.
And subscribe. If you're listening and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Like us, give us a thumbs up wherever it is that you listen to us. Teach the algorithms that Android Guys is awesome.
Yeah.
So that's going to be it for me.
Yep.
I will see you next week, Luke.
Yeah.
And we'll do it one more time for 2021.
Oh, man.
Whew.